Welcome everybody to Chapter 2 of Fallout Equestria by KCat. I just noticed this is the only story KCat does. One and done. Kinda makes me sad. I want more, KCat! Give me more! If you do not, I don't know what I'll do. Anyways, Equestrian Wasteland. What world do you live in? Out here, in the real world, blood flows, little pony. Blood flows. My name is Little Pip, and my world is fire and blood. I just saw Mad Max. Witness me, YouTube! Witness me! For I will ride through the gates of Valhalla shiny and chrome. Fucking metal-ass movie. I felt like I was watching a Fallout movie. Oh, that would have been good. It was good. Nothingness. My first several seconds outside were a heat-bursting eternity of hoof-pounding terror. The story had been right. All that was outside was a great black nothingness. It surrounded me, suffocating. If I had been able to draw a breath, I would have screamed. Apparently, outside is also windows. And then my eyes started to adjust to the darkness. I began to calm, gasping, feeling weak, and not just a little foolish. In my defense, I had never experienced night before. Not really. Sure, I'd always turn off the lights before curling into bed, but that darkness was small, confined to my little room. And there was always the glow from under the door. The hallway lights of Stable 2 were eternal. This was different. A cool air, quite unlike anything within the stable, tickled my coat and chilled my skin beneath. It bore smells that were dank and rotting and dusty and alien. I could hear the sound of night insects creaking, the creaking of wood, and a far-off sloshing. But I was struck more by what I couldn't hear. The constant low hum of the stable's generators and the ever-present high whine of the lights were gone. So powerful in their absence that I first mistook the outside as silent. I could feel dirt and broken stone. Would have been creepier with bone though. Beneath my hooves, so unlike the smooth and sterile floors I had trotted all my life. And though I could not see much or far, I could see further than I had ever seen before. There were no walls to mark the end of a room. I was staring at a horizontal abyss that stretched out from me in every direction. An entirely new panic began to form within me. My hind legs went from under me as I sat, stunned. I turned my gaze to the ground, breathing deeply, thanking it not only for holding me up, but for being a visual endpoint. Then I made the mistake of looking up to the sky. And the absolute endless upness of it sent my head spinning and my stomach lurching. Great masses of cloud rolled over most of the sky, but there were gaps through which soft light poured through that I could see the up went on forever. Insanely, I thought of the clouds as a great net made to catch me if I fell from the earth onto the yawning gulf above. But if I slipped through the holes, I would fall up forever. I clenched my eyes shut and I tried to keep from vomiting. The fear and queasiness was intense but passing. Once my faculties returned, I began to notice things that escaped me in the initial panic. The surrounding terrain was becoming evident. The world around me did not stretch out evenly. The ground heaved and rolled, hills creeping towards mountains. The earth was punctured by the up-thrusting black fingers of long dead trees. Along distant hilltops I could see the swaying leaf-shrouded branches of healthier woods. But the living trees near Stable 2 were few, scattered and sickly. Second, I noticed that my pit buck was flashing with a host of alerts. The map maker was already beginning to do its work on my new and unfamiliar surroundings, and to my surprise had already pulled a label from the ether. Sweet Apple Acres. I just got a fucking chill down my spine. Woo! Fucking. No. Sorry. Look at my pit buck again. Wait, I skipped a line. Turning around to get my bearings, my eyes were drawn to the large hollowed husk of what I assumed had once been a magnificent house. Now it caked and swayed in the breeze as if threatening to collapse. Looking to my pit buck again, I noticed that it was picking up several radio transmissions. The radio broadcast from Stable 2 was dark, but news stations had taken its place. My heart leapt, for it was the first indication there might be pony life out here after all. I nudged my pit buck to start playing the first station on the list. Still sealed up. There's no way inside. My son. He ate one of the apples from those damn apple trees up near the stable, and now he's terribly sick. Too sick to move. We hold up in the cistern near the old memorial. We're running out of food and medical supplies. Please, if any pony hears this, help us. Message repeats. Hello? Is there any pony out there? Please, we need help. I was bringing my family to the stable near Sweet Apple Acres when we were attacked by raiders. Only my son and I survived. We made it to the stable, but it's still sealed up. There's no way inside. My son, he ate one of the apples from those damn apple trees up near the stable, and now he's terribly sick. Too sick to move. We've holed up in the old cistern near the old memorial. We're running out of food and medical supplies. Please, if any pony hears this, help us. Message repeats. Hello? A voice was filled with terrible resignation, as if the pony had already given up hope and was just going through the motions. Shaken, I turned it off. I didn't think I could bear to hear that again. That is why I noticed a soft ticking from my pit buck. Checking it over, I discovered that it's a radiation detector. A feature I had never known to be used had self-activated. The cute little rainbow dial had always been planted firmly in the green, but it was still there, but edging discreetly towards yellow. I couldn't just stand here beside what had long ago been the door to a simple apple cellar for the rest of my life. Well, I could, but it would be a relatively short and miserable life. A realization had dawned on me. With so many directions to go, what was the likelihood that I could choose the path that Velvet Remedy had followed? Even though she had only spent a few hours head start, the prospect of finding her was bleak. If I had to start somewhere, and the best chance I had to get up high and have a look around, the ruins near me rose higher than any of the nearby trees, and the sheared-off roof of its upper tower had probably been the best vantage point I could hope for. I closed my eyes, steadied myself, and went inside. See, I don't remember any of this, even though I knew I read to at least this part. It's been so long. What was left of the Sweet Apple Acres building proved sturdier than it looked, or sounded. Apple engineering, baby. It was also almost barren. Anything of value that had survived had been looted, leaving only scraps that nobody wanted, but that time itself seemed unable to erase. Rusted shoes, boxes of soaps for cleaning dresses that no longer existed, a pitchfork with a shattered handle, a rake. I began up the stairs. My eyes were alerted to a feeble glow, the soft green color of a poisoned apple bathing the room above. The glow came from the screen of an old terminal, a device of arcane science, identical to the ones used throughout Stable 2. It seemed miraculous that it worked after centuries on the outside. When Stable Tech built something, they built it to last. Curiosity lured me to it, and my wonder was quickly replaced with understanding. It was no coincidence that this particular terminal was live, for it was a fresh message. To any pony who has left Stable 2 in search for me, please go home. I'm doing what I have to do. The Overmare understands, even if she can never agree. And I hope one day you will too. I will not be back. Do not look for me. Do not endanger yourselves further for my sake. Please forgive me. Velvet Remedy. I searched the terminal for more, but all the other messages were ancient and corrupted save for one. And that one had a unique encryption, something I had heard of but never seen. A binary encryption such that in order to decrypt it, I would first have to download the message into my pitbuck from both the terminal, which had been used to send it, and the one upon which it was received. Having nothing better to do with the vast amount of storage on my pitbuck was capable of, I downloaded it. In reality, I knew that the chances that I would ever come across the companion terminal was much less than it would be functional. I knew that the chances that I would never come across the companion that I would ever come across the companion terminal, much less that it would be functional, were overwhelmingly against me. I cannot fucking speak. I am becoming illiterate. No. Nor did I have the reason to believe a message centuries old would be of any significance. Joke's on you, buddy. That's all Fallout is. Old shit becoming relevant. More importantly, I now had to face the outside was my new home. Even if I found Velvet Remedy, it was unlikely she would accompany me back. I'll admit, I had been subtly entertaining a fantasy where the Overmare would be so delighted with Velvet's return that she would embrace us both back into the herd. Maybe even throw me a party. Now I was forced to admit how foulest that vision was. Thinking upon this made my head fill with black clouds, but as I reached the top of the ruins and looked out over the wasteland, a bright light, feeble as it was, flickered in that darkness, just as a light from the campfire, not half an hour's trot distance, poked up orange holes in the night. Oh, you don't have any guns. Fuck. I was about to say, light in the distance. Be careful, might be raiders. Get your guns ready. She don't got no guns! I hope she's a melee spec. She might be fucked. Oh, shit. I never spec from melee. I don't know anybody that does. As I approached the circle of firelight, I knew something was off. Something about the way the dusty beige unicorn was lying on his mat of straw, legs curled up underneath him. Some tenseness in his body language. But it wasn't until I stepped hoof into the light and got a good look, a warm hello dying on my lips, that I saw he was gagged, and caught the glint of the flames against a few exposed links in the chain binding his hooves. Well, looky here! Walked up all nice and pleasant, didn't she? A large earth pony emerged from the shadows of a nearby rock, his hooves clacked metallically against the rocky ground, shod in cruelly spiked pony shoes. Two more ponies slid out of hiding on opposite sides. One, another earth pony holding a shovel whose blade had been lethally sharpened, and the other, a unicorn whose glowing horn levitated towards me, a short instrument of wood and metal with two barrels. Get the shotgun. Get it, girl. Each pony whose barding made from thick hide, much like night. I had never seen a firearm before, save for pictures and books. But those books were more than explicit enough for me to recognize the mortal threat. The bound unicorn on the mat shook his head with a sad yet derisive look and began trying to scrape the gag with a forehoof, no longer making the effort to keep the chain secret. The three ponies menacing me spared him only an occasional glance. Might as well have trussed herself up for us. The gun-wielding unicorn snickered, then addressed me. You wouldn't mind, would you? Laughter. And another unicorn, too. Still fetch a pretty price, this one. Fetch a price for what? And from whom? The one holding the shovel spear in his mouth mumbled something incomprehensible. Then, apparently, deciding the gun was sufficient deterrent, spat out his weapon and reiterated, "By the I mean, look at her! I think she's taken a bath!" I was suddenly and bizarrely aware of how filthy all four of the ponies were, and how foul they smelled. I managed to cover a gag with a sneeze. "What's going on?" I asked again. All the other emotions battling for supremacy in my head, confusion had clawed its way to victory. The captive unicorn finally succeeded in pulling a filthy gag free. "They're slavers, you idiot!" Monterey Jack, the dirty beige unicorn with dour expression and a cutie mark that looked like cheese, followed behind me as we trudged alongside our captors, walking a broken path that was once a road. My legs were in chains, making walking difficult, and anything more speedy than a trot impossible. My pit bug had stymied the slaver's effort to bind my forelegs, eventually forcing them to chain me above the knees. Had the one with the shovel spear not been holding its point dangerously close to my throat, the other two would have gotten a few hooves in tender places for their efforts. As it was, made sure it worked with me. I was not gagged, but Monterey had convinced me earlier that unnecessary chatter from the slaves-to-be would likely result in the loss of my tongue. Not that I had much to say to those brutes anyways, aside from my repertoire of colorful metaphors. I didn't expect they would answer my questions. Even if my tongue would survive the asking, they would be chatty enough with each other to survive. Hate thief fart, grumbled the earth pony with the spear clenched in his teeth. "Well then, if you would just learn to swim, we could take the long way, couldn't we?" suggested the unicorn with poisoned sweetness. "Hate fuffin' schwiffy." By his smell, decidedly more pungent than the others, I guess he just hated water in general. "How about you stop complaining, and I'll let you sample one of the slaves before we get to the forest." Their leader, the earth pony named Cracker, with the spiked shoes and a cutie mark that looked suspiciously like a whip, or maybe a snake, turned towards Monterey and I with a filthy smile. I looked away. They laughed. Though their disgusting dialogue, I could hear a liquid sound up ahead. Not like a burbling water fountain, but closer to a sloughing muck. And something else. A distant sound, getting closer. Music? Yes, music. Slightly tinny, yet triumphant? Regal? I couldn't pin my hoof on exactly what feeling the music was trying to inspire, but it was brightly out of place. Cracker took a note of my expression and smirked. "Looked like you never heard that before. What, did you live your life in a stable? If you're hoping for the cavalry, that ain't it, Philly. It's just one of them sprite bots." The music cut out with a sharp twang. Unicorn Slaver, sawed off, trotted ahead a bit, peering down the path ahead. Turning back to the rest of us, he smirked. "Think one of the radigators got it?" Crackers suggested it flew off into some pony's booby trap. Why am I having fucking trouble reading? God damn. Ugh. I usually don't have this much problem reading. What? It's reading and talking, really. The other earth pony suggested a mouthful of spear-mangling mumbling. The unicorn turned forwards again, and the glow from his horn illuminated the machine. A metal ball about the size of a fall's head floated on, four silently flapping wings, hovering slightly in front of his face. No arcane science this, I could tell. This was pure earth pony engineering. "Fuck!" Sawed off leapt back at full pony's length in surprise, then swung his shotgun to bear and fired it at the sprite bot. The sound was like a metal plate falling from the ceiling, and it echoed through the night-darkened hills. Sparks specked from the metal ball as it was peppered with scattershot. It let out an electric whine and darted off into the darkness. The unicorn almost took after it, but Cracker's voice cut the distance between them. "Enough, shot off. Save your ammo." Damn it, I hate that when they pull that stealthy shit. It's like flying fucking radio. It's not supposed to sneak up on ponies. My ears were burning from the free flow of crude profanity, but I didn't mind. I was mulling over what I had just seen. Idiot, muttered Monterey Jack under his breath. They heard that all the way in Ponyville. Unlike my fellow slave, I was pleased to have witnessed the unicorn firing off his weapon, because now I knew how it worked. Respect for guns. What kind of damn fool announces his presence this close to Raider territory? Woo! That's not good. Here's the thing. For those of you who don't know Fallout, slavers are bad. Raiders are worse. Think about that. When we encounter raiders, I'll talk a bit about them and why they are the fucked up shit of the universe. A river slithered across our path, its water slipping and oozing along its banks, half stagnant. The water lapped and sucked at the supports of a bridge, making the wet sounds I had been hearing. Beyond the bridge lurked the shattered remains of a pre-war town. Oh, it's Ponyville. The bridge was a maze of barricades. Dark shadows of ponies moved about it. Briefly, I may have made the mistake of hoping for rescue, but my eyes were drawn to the spiked poles that lined the bridge, and the still rotting heads of decapitated ponies who adorned two of them. I tasted bile. The sight was horrific. Cager, stay here, Cracker said, finally putting a name to the spear-wielding slaver pony. Sawed off. Let's go hear what the toll is this time. Monterey Jack lowered his head and looked balefully towards the bridge. I moved closer to him, following his example and hoping that I had positioned myself so Cager couldn't see the faint glow from my horn as I slipped my screwdriver and bobby pin from my stable utility barding. Like all the slaver's equipment, the manacling on my legs were crude and low of quality. As Cracker and Sawed Off argued with the bridge ponies, I focused on picking the first lock. I was rewarded with a soft click as it sprung open, releasing my buck foreleg. The manacle fell to the ground with a little thump. Huh? Cage's ears had shot up, and now he moved around to see me. Swiftly, I cut the magic, dropping the screwdriver and bobby pin into the dirt, hoping that in the darkness the slaver couldn't see the chains in my chains. Oof, hoof, you foof. Woof, hoof, you fur. KG growled dangerously. The nasty, sharp edge of the shovel hovered inches from my eyes. Blam! KG turned abruptly, the spear shovel slashing close enough to my face that I shrieked. The gunshot was from the bridge. It didn't sound like Shot-Off's shotgun, but the second shot did. It took KG a breath to recognize the crossing had become a bloody affair. Growling back at us, his posture threatening, he started to say something. I suspected he was wanting to stay put, but I'll never know. His head exploded, showering me with gore. I stood there, eyes wide, shaking with shock. Blood, warm and sticky, ran down my forehead and onto my left eye, oozed into my coat and mane. In the growing list of things I had not seen before this night, the death of another pony ranked at the top. I blinked, feeling the blood on my eyelid. KG was dead. I had KG all over me! The urge to throw myself into the river was overwhelming, but I wouldn't get to it like this. Pushed by something more than determination, now my horn once again glowed, and I began to unlock the rest of my manacles. I spared a glance toward the bridge, seeing Sawed Off hunkering down beside one of the barricades as he magically pulled his shotgun open, stuffing in more ammo. 2 shots, I realized. One at the Sprite bot, and one just now. 2 shots, reload. Closing the weapon, he levitated up above the barricade and shot blindly into the violent melee. I don't know what the fuck that means. Sprang an already wounded raider pony with scattershot. The pony staggered and fell. Fortunately for Sawed Off, the raider behind him had a different kind of shotgun. One that was faster and not limited to 2 shots. That fired slugs which tore great holes in the unicorn slaver's body the moment he looked up to see the results of his efforts. I turned away, cringing from the nightmare playing out before me. I focused on the locks. Oh boy. I had freed myself and was beginning to free Monterey when 2 raiders trotted off the bridge towards us. Stepping over the battle-mutilated corpses of Cracker shot off, and the raiders they had taken down with them. One of those approaching was a unicorn raider wielding a devastating combat shotgun. The other was a earth pony with a sledgehammer in his teeth. The unicorn was laughing. Not the mean laugh of Cracker, but a crazed laugh that sent chills down the back of my neck. "Looks like we got ourselves some prizes!" The earth pony chortled behind the sledgehammer as the unicorn looked over us appraisingly. The 2 were somehow even filthier than the slavers. The unicorn bore jagged scars across his face and flanks, one of them tearing through her cutie mark. Oh, it's her! Several fleshy bleeding. The earth pony was hairless and painfully burned over much of his left side. Both bore barding that looked ragged and cobbled together. Help us? Oh, I'll help myself to you, all right. The unicorn reared up and gave me a kick, her hooves striking hard into my side. Pain exploded and I dropped, gasping. Rearing up again, she brought her full weight down on me. I howled. Near me, Monterey let out a wicked grunt of pain as the earth pony gave him a taste of her sledgehammer. They're both girls. Okay. Leaving me in a crying hurdle, the unicorn turned her attention to the still chained Monterey. In moments it became clear they intended to beat and bludgeon him until he was a lifeless corpse. And probably not stop then. Hold his leg out. I'm going to shoot his hooves off. The unicorn raider floated the combat shotgun a foot from Monterey's splayed left hind leg, the only one I had freed from its manacle. Ignoring the pain, I leapt up, closing the distance and spinning as fast as I gave a fierce back kick. My hooves connected with the shotgun, sending it flying. It catered onto the bridge beyond. A moment later, I was levitating the shovel spear at the 2 ponies who stood facing me with gleeful expressions. 2 against 1, and they were both experienced fighters. The one with the sledgehammer stepped closer, as if eager to see if a hammer beat knife. Monterey was on her in an instant, throwing his forelegs over her head, pulling the chain between them across her neck. The sledgehammer fell from her mouth as the raider pony choked. The unicorn turned, surprised by the sudden change in odds. I would have attacked her then, but threatening a pony is much different than actually attacking one. I wasn't sure if I had it in me to slash at another pony, to draw her blood, to maim, or possibly kill. God damn it. She's going to get herself killed. The unicorn kicked at the fallen sledgehammer, turned to face me with murder in her eyes, and suddenly I found it easy to thrust the shovel spear forward. I was no longer struggling with falling through on a threat. This was survival! Self-preservation was instinctual. It clears away at moral hesitations, and while I did not have the fighting skills of my opponent, I had an advantage all my own. Sats. Aided by the targeting spell of my pitbuck, I sent the spear slashing across her knee, hobbling her. A second slash, this time across her face, relieved her of her weapon. The third would be a killing blow. Except I wasn't ready to do that. Not yet. Instead, I swung the spear around, cracking her across the head with its handle hard enough to splinter the wood. The unicorn raider fell at my feet, unconscious. I looked up. Monterey was standing, chest heaving over the body of the earth pony raider, the life choked out of her. He was staring at me quietly, then finally raised a forehoof, only for the chain to clank tightly before it had worn a few inches off the ground. Oh. Dropping the shovel spear, I turned the light on my pitbuck and searched about for my screwdriver. I lost the bobby pin. There was no chance of finding it in the dirt at night, but I had more. Once we were both free, Monterey lumped over to the bridge. A moment later, he returned, horn glowing a gentle beige. Sawed-off shotgun followed him. Before I could react, he aimed it at the head of the unconscious raider and fired. Her blood began to seep across the ground towards my hooves. I watched in stunned silence as he turned and began prodding at the bodies, tugging items out of them. Finally, I found my voice. Ah, man, my nose is stuffed. Fuck. I don't want to get sick now. Just got done being sick. He looked at me as if I was stupid. Checking to see if they have anything value on them. With luck, food. I nodded, watching him move to the bodies at the end of the bridge. Looting the bodies of the dead felt wrong. Ugh. But a cold, rational part of me murmured it was a qualm I would have to get over in order to survive. And imagine how embarrassed I'd be if I starved to death out here because I've been too shy to check a dead pony's bag for a pouch of oats or a can of old applesauce. I moved a bit further down the bridge. I looked over the body of a dead raider pony, his face bloody and torn from Cracker's pony shoes. I started to go through the pockets of his barding, but my stomach rebelled, and I flung myself to the railing, heaving my lunch into the foul river below. A large break in the clouds brought a soft, silvery light to everything, and I could see my reflection in the water, still covered with Cage's drying blood. Then I saw sawed-off shotgun hovering in the air behind my head. I'll be taking what you have, too, Monterey Jack informed me with bored drawl. What? I turned slowly to see him standing on the bridge, bathed in moonlight, his horn glowing a soft beige light. The shotgun floated between us, pointing at me. But I just saved you. Yeah, and for that, I'm not going to kill you. But unless, of course, you do something stupid right now. But I just saved you! Aren't you the top of your class? He said snidely. Shouldn't we work together? Or something? Travel together? And split our limited provisions? Go to sleep with one eye open each night, hoping to catch you when you try to stab me in the back? No thanks. My righteous disbelief stopped short of denial. Suddenly, I was so very wary. Nodding, I lowered my head and let my two canteens slip free, and then backed up so he could approach them. Turned my head to start unclasping my saddlebags. I saw it on the bridge, just beyond my tail. Turning back to Monterey, my own horn was glowing, and the combat shotgun whipped into the air. For a long moment we stood there, two unicorns on a bridge, surrounded by bodies, shotguns floating between us, aimed at each other. Moonlight shone down on us from the break in the clouds. Monterey Jack broke the silence. You're not going to use that. I saw you spare that raider. If you couldn't kill a pony like that, you don't have it in you to kill me. I narrowed my eyes. I'm a quick study. He huffed, but didn't move. Do you even know how to use that thing? I forced a smile across my face. Do you know that you only have one shot left? And judging by the sprite bot, that gun is in such poor repair, I'll survive being shot with it. Will you survive being shot with this as many times as I can move the trigger while you try to reload? Monterey Jack took a step back. That's why you put points in the speech! Always go speech, children. Monterey Jack took a step back, and with that falter, my smile was no longer forced, and I'll be taking my canteens back. Ponyville. I wonder just how my pit buck knew the names of the places before I did. It even named the records of the building I had just slipped into. Ponyville was raider territory. God, my nose! If it's not reading fan fiction, it's watching Death Battle. Monterey Jack and I had barely parted ways when the railing of the bridge exploded. Oh, I skipped some. Just slipped into. Ponyville was raider territory. I had just hoped this place, this carousel boutique, was not crawling with them. Monterey Jack and I had barely parted ways when the railing of the bridge exploded next to me. A sniper! The same pony, I presume, who had turned Casey's head into applesauce. I fled into the town, keeping to what cover was there. Few of the buildings were intact enough to hide in. This was the closest. Fortunately, I was alone. I waited for nearly an hour, curled up in a sand shadow near the door, but the sniper pony seemed uninspired to follow me. No, she or he could just wait until I came out. Fatigue washed over me. I had stayed up all the night before, and this night's events were staying on both body and spirit. My muscles were weak and achy. My body hurt from all the kicks I had taken. I felt emotionally played out. I needed to sleep. My voice is getting really dry. Actually, I need to take a break real quick. Gotta blow my nose. I think I'm getting sick.